Welcome the students of SC Civil for the subject Concrete Technology Unit number 2 Production, Properties and Testing of Fresh Concrete. So here we will refer the reference books. First is the M.S. Shetty, another is the M.L. Gambhir and Adam Nevely. First we will see the course objectives. First course objective is to know the properties of various ingredients of the concrete and concept of mixed design. Second course objective is to learn the behavior and properties of concrete in fresh state and hardened state. Third course objective is to understand special concrete and their applications. Fourth course objective is to understand the durability aspect and preventive measures to enhance the life of the concrete. Now we will see the course outcomes. The students will be able to select the various ingredients of the concrete and its suitable proportion to achieve desired strength. Second course outcome is students will be able to check the properties of concrete in the fresh state and hardened state. Third course outcome is students will get acquainted to concreting equipments, techniques and different types of special concrete. Fourth course outcome is student will be able to predict deteriorations in the concrete and get acquainted to various repairing methods and techniques. So we will see the unit number 2, that is production, properties and testing of fresh concrete. In that it includes part A, production and properties of fresh concrete, which includes nominal mix, water cement ratio, process of manufacturing fresh concrete, batching, mixing, transportation, compaction, curing of concrete, curing methods, influence of temperature, maturity rule, workability and factors affecting workability, cohesion and segregation. It also includes part B, test on fresh concrete, which includes workability by slump cone, compaction factor, VB consistometer and flow table apparatus. Effect of admixture on workability of concrete and optimum dosage of admixture by Marsh cone test. So now we will see part A, production and properties of fresh concrete. Nominal mix, water cement ratio, process of manufacturing fresh concrete, batching, mixing, transportation, compaction, curing of concrete, curing methods, influence of temperature, maturity rule, workability and factors affecting workability, cohesion and segregation. So here we will see part A, production and properties of fresh concrete. In that we will see curing methods, second influence of temperature, third maturity rule, fourth we will see workability, then we will see the factors affecting workability, then we will see the cohesion, segregation. So first we will see the curing methods. So in that there are 4 curing methods. First is the water curing, second is the membrane curing, third is the application of heat and fourth is the miscellaneous methods of curing. So first we will see the water curing. This is by far the best method of curing as it satisfies all the requirements of curing, namely promotion of hydration, elimination of shrinkage and absorption of the heat of hydration. It is pointed out that even if the membrane method is adopted, it is desirable that a certain extent of water curing is done before the concrete is covered with membranes. So in that water curing we will see water curing can be done in the following ways. First is by immersion, second is by ponding, third is by spraying or fogging and fourth is the wet covering. The precast concrete items are normally immersed in curing tanks for a certain duration. Pavement slab, roof slab, etc. are covered under water by making small ponds. Vertical retaining wall or plaster surfaces of concrete columns, etc. are cured by spraying water. In some cases, wet coverings such as wet gunny bags, Hessian cloth, jute matting, straw, etc. are wrapped to vertical surface for keeping the concrete wet. For horizontal surfaces, sawdust, earth or sand are used as wet covering to keep the concrete in wet condition for a longer time so that the concrete is not unduly dried to prevent hydration. So we have seen the first curing method, that is water curing. Now secondly we will see the membrane curing. Sometimes water concrete works are carried out in places where there is acute shortage of water. The lavish application of water for water curing is not possible for reasons of economy. It has been pointed out earlier that curing does not mean only the application of water, it means also creation of conditions for promotion of uninterrupted and progressive hydration. It is also pointed out that the quantity of water normally mixed for making concrete is more than sufficient to hydrate the cement, provided this water is not only to go out from the body of the concrete. For this reason, concrete could be covered with membrane which will effectively seal off the evaporation of water from concrete. It is found out that the application of membrane or a sealing compound after a short spell of water curing for 1 or 2 days is sometimes beneficial. Membrane curing is a good method of maintaining a satisfactory state of wetness in the body of concrete to promote continuous hydration when original water cement ratio used is less than 0.5. To achieve best results, membrane is applied after 1 or 2 days of actual wet curing. It is seen that there are some fear and apprehension in the mind of the builders and contractors regarding the use of membrane forming curing compounds. No doubt that curing compounds are not as efficient as ideal as water curing. The efficiency of curing compound can be at best be 80% of water curing. But this 80% curing is done in a foolproof manner. When waterproofing paper or polyethylene film are used as membrane, care must be taken to see that these are not punctured anywhere and also see whether adequate lapping is given at the junction and this lap is effectively sealed. So we have seen the second curing method, that is membrane curing. Now we will see the third method, application of the heat. The development of strength of concrete is a function of not only time but also that of the temperature. When concrete is subjected to higher temperature, it accelerates the hydration process resulting in faster development of strength. Concrete cannot be subjected to dry heat to accelerate the hydration process as the presence of moisture is also an essential requisite. Therefore, subjecting the concrete to higher temperature and maintaining the required wetness can be achieved by subjecting the concrete to steam curing. The exposure of concrete to higher temperature is done in the following manner. First, by steam curing at ordinary pressure. Second, the steam curing at high pressure. Third is by curing by infrared radiation. And fourth method, by electrical curing. First, we will see the steam curing at ordinary temperature. This is the one of the methods in the application of the heat. The steam curing at ordinary pressure. In this method of curing is often adopted for prefabricated concrete elements. Application of steam curing to in situ construction will be a little difficult task. However, at some places it has been tried for in situ construction by forming a steam jacket with the help of tarpaulin or thick polyethylene sheets. By this method of application of steam or in situ work is found to be wasteful and the intended rate of development of strength and benefit is not really achieved. In large prefabrication factories, they have tunnel curing arrangements. The tunnel of sufficient length and size is maintained at different temperatures, starting from a low temperature in the beginning of the tunnel to the maximum temperature of about 90 degrees Celsius at the end of the tunnel. So we have seen the first method, application of the heat, the steam curing at ordinary pressure. Now we will see the second method in the application of the heat, that is steam curing at high pressure. In the steam curing at atmospheric pressure, the temperature of the steam is naturally below 100 degrees Celsius. The steam will get converted into water, thus it can be called in a way as hot water curing. This is done in an open atmosphere. The high pressure steam curing is something different from ordinary steam curing in that the curing is carried out in a closed chamber. The superheated steam at high pressure and high temperature is applied on the concrete. This process is also called as autoclaving. The autoclaving process is practiced in curing precast concrete products in the factory, particularly for the lightweight concrete products. In India, this high pressure steam curing is practiced in the manufacture of cellular concrete products such as Siforex, Silicrates, etc. In high pressure steam curing, concrete is subjected to a maximum temperature of about 175 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to a steam pressure of about 8.5 kg per centimeter square. The higher rate of development of strength is attributed to the higher temperature to which a concrete is subjected. So we have seen the second method of application of heat, that is the steam curing at high pressure. Now we will see the third method, that is curing by infrared radiations. Curing of concrete by infrared radiation has been practiced in very cold climatic regions in Russia. It is claimed that much more rapid gain of strength can be obtained than with steam curing, and that rapid initial temperature does not cause a decrease in the ultimate strength as in the case of steam curing at ordinary pressure. This system is very often adopted for the curing of hollow concrete products. The normal operative temperature is kept at about 90 degrees Celsius. So we have seen the third method of curing, that is application of heat, in that curing by infrared radiation. Now we will see the fourth method, that is electrical curing. Another method of curing concrete which is applicable mostly to very cold climatic regions is the use of electricity. This method is not likely to find much application in ordinary climate owing to economic reasons. Concrete can be cured electrically by passing an alternating current. Electrolysis trouble will be encountered if direct current is used through the concrete itself between two electrodes either buried in or applied to the surface of the concrete. Care must be taken to prevent the moisture from going out, leaving the concrete completely dry. So we have seen the fourth method, that is electrical curing in the application of the heat. So we have seen the four methods in application of heat. That first we have seen steam curing at ordinary pressure, second steam curing at high pressure, third curing by infrared radiation, and fourth electrical curing. So we have seen the third method of curing, that is application of the heat. Now fourth method we will see the miscellaneous curing methods. Calcium chloride is used either as a surface coating or as an admixture. It has been used satisfactorily as a curing medium. Both these methods are based on the fact that calcium chloride, being a salt, shows affinity for moisture. The salt not only absorbs moisture from atmosphere but also retains it at the surface. This moisture held at the surface prevents the mixing water from evaporation and thereby keeps the concrete wet for a long time to promote hydration. Formwork prevents escaping of moisture from the concrete, particularly in the case of beams and the columns. Keeping the formwork intact and sealing the joint with wax or any other sealing compound prevents the evaporation of moisture from the concrete. This procedure of promoting hydration can be considered as one of the miscellaneous methods of curing. So we have seen the curing methods, in that water curing, second membrane curing, third application of heat, and fourth miscellaneous curing methods. Now we will see the influence of temperature. In the accelerated curing test, the standard cubes are cast. They are covered with top plate and the joints are sealed with special grease to prevent the drying. Within 30 minutes of adding water, the cubes, having sealed effectively, are placed in an airtight oven which is then switched on. The oven temperature is brought to 93 degrees Celsius in about 1 hour time. It is kept at this temperature for 5 hours. At the end of this period, the cubes are removed from oven, stripped, cooled and tested. The time allowed for this operation is 30 minutes only. The strength of concrete is determined within 7 hours of casting, and this accelerated strength shows good relationship with 7 days and 28 days strength of normally cured concrete. One of the main factors that affects the rate of gain of strength is the fineness of cement. It has been estimated that particles of cement over 40 micron in size contribute to the compressive strength of concrete only over long periods, while those particles smaller than 25 micron to 30 micron contribute to the 28-day strength. Those particles smaller than 20 micron to 25 micron contribute to the 7-day strength, and the particles smaller than 5 micron to 7 micron contribute to the 1 day or 2 days strength. So we have seen the influence of temperature. Now we will see the maturity rule. While dealing with curing and strength development, we have so far considered only the time aspect. It has been pointed out earlier that it is not only the time but also the temperature during the early period of hydration that influence the rate of gain of strength of the concrete. Since the strength development of concrete depends on both time and temperature, it can be said that strength is a function of summation of product of time and temperature. This summation is called the maturity of concrete. Mathematically, the maturity is given as maturity is equal to summation time multiplied by temperature. The temperature is reckoned from an origin lying between minus 12 degrees Celsius and minus 10 degrees Celsius. It was experimentally found out that the hydration of concrete continues to take place up to about minus 11 degrees Celsius. Therefore, minus 11 degrees Celsius is taken as a datum line for computing maturity. Maturity is measured in degree centigrade hours or degree centigrade days. A sample of concrete cured at 18 degrees Celsius for 28 days is taken as fully matured concrete. Its maturity is equal to 28 multiplied by 24. This 28 is the 28 days multiplied by 24. This is 24 hours multiplied by 18. This is 18 degrees Celsius minus 11 degree, which is considered from this previous average, which is taken of minus 12 and minus 10. It is coming minus 11. So this is minus 11 degrees Celsius. So the value is coming 19,488 degrees Celsius hours, because it is 24 is considered. However, in standard calculation, the maturity of fully cured concrete is taken as 19,800 degrees Celsius hours. The discrepancy is because of the origin, or the datum is not exactly being minus 11 degrees Celsius as used in the calculations. So here maturity by calculation it is coming 19,488, and standard calculations we have to consider it as 19,800 degrees Celsius hours. Maturity concept is useful for estimating the strength of concrete at any other maturity as a percentage of strength of concrete of known maturity. In other words, if we know the strength of concrete at full maturity, that is 19,800 degrees Celsius hours, we can calculate the percentage strength of identical concrete at any other maturity by using the following equation given by the Plowman. So the strength at any maturity as a percentage of strength at maturity of 19,800 degrees Celsius hours is equal to capital A plus B log to the base 10 maturity upon 10 to the power 3. The values of coefficient A and B, capital A and capital B, depend on the strength level of the concrete. The values of capital A and B are given in the table. So this is the Plowman's coefficient for maturity equation. Strength after 28 days at 18 degrees Celsius, maturity of 19,800 degrees Celsius hours in megapascal or Newton per millimeter square. Here the coefficient A is there, coefficient B is there. If it is less than 17.5, A will be 10 and B will be 68. Strength will be between 17.5 to 35 Newton per millimeter square. Coefficient A will be 21, coefficient B will be 61. If the strength is ranging between 35 to 52.5, coefficient A will be 32 and coefficient B will be 54. And the strength is ranging between 52.5 to 70, coefficient A will be 42 and coefficient B will be 46.5. So now we will consider one numerical example. The strength of a sample of a fully matured concrete is found to be 40 megapascal. Find the strength of identical concrete at the age of 7 days when cured at an average temperature during the daytime at 20 degrees Celsius and night time at 10 degrees Celsius. Now we will see the solution. Maturity of concrete at the age of 7 days, that is equal to summation time multiplied by the temperature. So that is equal to 7. This is the 7 days we have to calculate. Multiply by 12 hours multiply by 20. This is daytime 20 minus 11. This is the datum temperature, which is considered average of minus 12 and minus 10. Plus, because summation, this is 7. This 7 days test we have to conduct, multiply by 12. That is 12 hours multiply by 10. This is night temperature 10 degrees Celsius minus 11. So it's coming up to be 7 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 20 minus 11. It will be 20 plus 11. It will be 31 plus 7 will be here multiplied by 12 multiplied by 10 minus 11. That will be 10 plus 11. That will be 21. So 7 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 31, it will be giving 2604 plus 7 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 21, it is giving 1764. So addition of these two, it will be giving 4368 degrees Celsius hours. The strength range at this concrete falls in the zone 3, for which the constant A is 32 and constant B is 54. So here in the example 40 megapascal it is given. So in the Plowman's coefficient, this is the table. So 40 megapascal it is coming here, 35 and 52.5. Coefficient A is 32 and coefficient B is 54. A is 32 and B is 54. The percentage strength of concrete at maturity of 4368 degrees Celsius hours, this is calculated from here for 7 days 4368 degrees Celsius hours it is taken, that is equal to A plus B log to the base 10 4368 upon 1000. So A value is 32, B value is 54, log to the base 10 4368 upon 1000, it is coming 4.368. So 32 is here plus 54 multiplied by log to the base 10 of 4.368, it is coming 0.6403. So 32 plus 54 multiplied by 0.6403, it's coming up to be 66.5%. So therefore the strength at 7 days, that is equal to 40. This 40 is at 28 days. So 40 multiplied by this 66.5 upon 100, because this is percentage. So value is coming 26.5 megapascal. So whatever the strength is there, 40 megapascal at 28 days. So at the age of 7 days, it will be 26.5 megapascal. So we have seen the maturity rule. Now we will see the workability. The quality of concrete satisfying the fully compacted with full homogeneity is termed as workable concrete. The ease with which the concrete is fully compacted is called as workability. The strict definition of workability is the amount of useful internal work necessary to produce full compaction. So we have seen the definitions of workability. Now we will see the factors affecting the workability. Workable concrete is the one which exhibits very little internal friction between the particle and particle, or which overcomes the frictional resistance offered by the formwork surface or reinforcement contained in the concrete with just the amount of compacting efforts forthcoming. The factors helping concrete to have more lubricating effect to reduce internal friction for helping ease compaction are given below. First is the water content, second is the mix proportion, third is the size of the aggregate, fourth is the shape of the aggregate, fifth is the surface texture of aggregate, sixth is the grading of aggregate, and seventh is the use of admixtures. So first we will see the water content, the factor affecting the workability. Water content in a given volume of concrete will have significant influence on the workability. The higher the water content per cubic meter of concrete, the higher will be the fluidity of concrete, which is one of the important factors affecting workability. At the work site, supervisors who are not well versed with the practice of making good concrete resort to adding more water for increasing workability. This practice is often resorted to because this is one of the easiest corrective measures that can be taken at site. More water can be added provided a correspondingly higher quantity of cement is also added to keep the water cement ratio constant, so that the strength remains the same. Now second factor we will see the mixed proportions. Aggregate cement ratio is an important factor influencing workability. The higher the aggregate cement ratio, the leaner is the concrete. In lean concrete, less quantity of paste is available for providing lubrication per unit surface area of the aggregate, and hence the mobility of aggregate is restrained. On the other hand, in case of rich concrete with lower aggregate cement ratio, more paste is available to make the concrete cohesive and fatty to give better workability. The third factor we will see which affect the workability is the size of aggregates. The bigger the size of the aggregate, the less is the surface area, and hence less amount of water is required for wetting the surface, and less matrix or paste is required for lubricating the surface to reduce internal friction. For a given quantity of water and paste, bigger the size of aggregates will give higher workability. The above of course will be true within the certain limits. Now we will see the fourth factor affecting the workability is the shape of the aggregates. The shape of aggregates influence workability in good measure. Angular, elongated or flaky aggregate makes the concrete very harsh when compared to the rounded aggregates or cubical shaped aggregates. Contribution to better workability of rounded aggregate will come from the fact that For the given volume or weight, it will have less surface area and less voids than angular or flaky aggregate. Not only that, being round in shape, the frictional resistance is also greatly reduced. This explains the reason why river sand and gravel provide greater workability to concrete than the crushed sand and aggregate. Fifth factor affecting the workability, that is the surface texture of aggregate. The influence of surface texture on workability is again due to the fact that the total surface area of rough texture aggregate is more than the surface area of smooth rounded aggregate of same volume. From the earlier discussions, it can be inferred that rough texture aggregate will show poor workability and smooth or glossy texture aggregate will give better workability. A reduction of interparticle frictional resistance offered by smooth aggregates also contributes to higher workability. Sixth factor affecting the workability is the grading of aggregate. This is one of the factors which will have maximum influence on workability. A well-graded aggregate is the one which has least amount of voids in a given volume. Other factors being constant, when the total voids are less, excess paste is available to give better lubricating effect. With excess amount of paste, the mixture becomes cohesive and fatty, which prevents segregation of particles. Aggregate particles will slide past each other with the least amount of compacting efforts. The better the grading, the less is the void content and higher the workability. The above is true for the given amount of paste volume. The seventh factor affecting the workability is the use of admixtures. Of all the factors mentioned earlier, the most important factor which affect the workability is the use of admixture. Plasticizers and superplasticizers greatly improve the workability many folds. Use of air entering agent being surface active reduces the internal friction between the particles. They also act as artificial fine aggregates of very smooth surface. It can be viewed that air bubbles act as a sort of ball bearing between the particles to slide past each other and give easy mobility to the particles. Similarly, the fine glassy pozzolanic material, in spite of increasing the surface area, offer better lubricating effects for given better workability. So we have seen the factors affecting the workability. Now we will see the cohesion. In considering the workability of concrete, it was pointed out that concrete should not segregate, that is, it ought to be cohesive. The absence of segregation is essential if full compaction is to be achieved. A well-made concrete taking into consideration various parameters such as grading, size, shape, and surface texture of aggregate with optimum quantity of water makes a cohesive mix. So we have seen the cohesion. Now we will see the segregation. Segregation can be defined as separation of the constituents of a heterogeneous mixture so that their distribution is no longer uniform. A good concrete is one in which all the ingredients are properly distributed to make a homogeneous mixture. If a sample of concrete exhibits a tendency for separation of, say, coarse aggregate from the rest of the ingredients, then that sample is said to be showing the tendency for segregation. There are three forms of segregation. Firstly, the coarse aggregate separating out or settling down from the rest of the matrix. Secondly, the paste or matrix separating away from coarse aggregate. Thirdly, the water separating out from the rest of the material being a material of lowest specific gravity. With some grading, when a lean mix is used, the first type of segregation occurs if the mix is too dry. The addition of water would improve the cohesion of the mix, but when the mix becomes too wet, the second type of segregation would take place. Segregation is difficult to measure quantitatively, but it can be easily observed at the time of concreting operation. Now we will see the blading. Bleeding is sometimes referred as water gain. It is a particular form of segregation in which some of the water from the concrete comes out to the surface of the concrete, being of the lowest specific gravity among all the ingredients of the concrete. Bleeding is predominantly observed in a highly wet mix, badly proportioned and insufficiently mixed concrete. In thin members like roof slab or road slabs, and when concrete is placed in sunny weather show excessive bleeding. Now we will see the items. Due to the bleeding, water comes up and accumulates at the surface. Sometimes along with this water, certain quantity of cement also comes on the surface. When the surface is worked up with a trowel and floats, the aggregate goes down and the cement and water come off on the top surface. This formation of the cement paste at the surface is known as latines, or it is also called as the scum. So we have seen the segregation. So we have seen here in part A, production and properties of fresh concrete, curing methods, influence of temperature, maturity rules, workability, factors affecting workability, cohesion and segregation. So we will see the YouTube links which are available on the YouTube. First is the methods of concrete curing, types of concrete curing, English Ultratech cement. Next is YouTube link is the curing. Next is the curing of concrete purpose, time, duration and methods of curing. Next YouTube link, water curing of concrete, types, manufacture of concrete, number 30. What is membrane curing of concrete, manufacture of concrete, number 31. Curing of concrete by application of heat, manufacture of concrete, number 32. Steam curing of concrete at ordinary pressure, manufacture of concrete, number 33. Steam curing of concrete at high pressure, manufacture of concrete, number 34. Curing of concrete by infrared radiation, manufacture of concrete, number 35. Electrical curing of concrete, manufacture of concrete, number 36. Temperature effects in concrete, Dr. D. Ambika. What is concrete temperature limit, its importance and effects on construction? So these are two link, concrete maturity concept and application, maturity concept of concrete, strength of concrete, number 8. Next YouTube link, maturity test on concrete, non-destructive testing methods, NDT, number 7. Next YouTube link, concrete maturity monitoring. Next YouTube link, that is concrete maturity at early strength, concrete maturity concept. Next YouTube link, numerical on maturity concept. Next YouTube link, workability of concrete, properties of fresh concrete, number 1. Next YouTube link, workability of concrete, part 1, building material and construction, GATE, ESE 2022, Sunil Kumar. Next YouTube link, workability of concrete, part 2, building material and construction, GATE, ESE 2022, Sunil Kumar. Next YouTube link, factors affecting workability of concrete, part 1, workability of concrete, 2. Next YouTube link, factors affecting workability of concrete, part 2, workability of concrete, 3. Next YouTube link, factors affecting workability of concrete, part 3, workability of concrete, 4. Next YouTube link, field test for cohesion of concrete. Next YouTube link, field test for cohesion of concrete. Next YouTube link, segregation of concrete, properties of fresh concrete, number 3. Next YouTube link, bleeding of concrete, properties of fresh concrete, number 4. So we have seen part A, production and properties of fresh concrete. In that we have seen curing methods, influence of temperature, maturity rules, workability, factors affecting workability, cohesion and segregation. So part A includes production and properties of fresh concrete, nominal mix, water cement ratio, process of manufacturing fresh concrete, batching, mixing, transportation, compaction, curing of concrete, curing methods, influence of temperature, maturity rules, workability and factors affecting workability, cohesion and segregation. So Unit 2, it includes Part A, production and properties of fresh concrete. Similarly, it includes Part B, test on fresh concrete, which includes workability by slump cone, compaction factor, VB consistometer and flow table apparatus, effect of admixture on workability of concrete and optimum dosage of admixture by Marsh cone test. Thank you all students.